Dream Scenario, which is the new film from Norwegian writer-director Christopher Borgli, who made Sick of Myself, in which dreams also kind of played a key role. So Nicolas Cage, don't let me say Cave.
I won't.
Kevin, not Andrew.
Yes. Modern English.
Rosamund, not Rebecca. Is Paul Matthews, who is an underdog evolutionary biology professor whose students barely know that he's there. He's in class. They're all just doing other stuff. They're not interested. We meet him en route to see a former colleague who he thinks has stolen his work on ant-telligence. Okay, fine. She's got a book coming out. In fact, all his colleagues have a book coming out. He doesn't have a book coming out. He hasn't written one. He's working on one. Well, he hasn't actually started the writing, but he's resentful about the fact that everyone else is being published apart from him. Then turns out that his daughter had a dream about bodies falling out of the sky, and he was in the dream, but he did nothing. And he said, well, but you know, I do stuff. You know, that time that you fell in the pot, I rescued you. She said, I don't remember that. I just know that you told me that you did it. Then he meets an ex at the theatre, and she says, I'm so glad to meet you. I've been dreaming about you. And she wants to meet up so that she can write an article about this. Everyone is being published other than him. Then work colleagues start dreaming about him. Again, doing nothing. And this weird kind of Jungian collective consciousness thing happens in which people are having dreams. He's in the dreams, doing nothing. Why him? And then the story goes viral. Here's a clip.
You've been on my mind recently. Yeah? Because you keep popping up in my dreams. You don't do anything. You're just there. So this specific person, the remarkable nobody, I've also had that experience. Do you have a picture?
Have you been dreaming about me?
Have I been dreaming about you?
Yeah. There's like 100 messages. Somebody wants to interview me.
This is strange. Maybe you should take a minute and think before you do anything drastic.
Why me? I don't know. I'm special, I guess.
Well, as is evident, I said clip, I meant trailer. So anyway, so then he's on the news as this person is appearing in everyone's dreams. And celebrity brings with it rewards. Suddenly everyone's dreaming about him. Everyone wants to know about him. Now his students paying attention. They want to take selfies with him. But he can't control what he does in other people's dreams because it's other people's dreams. And of course, when it changes from him doing nothing to him doing something
in the dreams,
suddenly everything changes. So I think the best way of describing this tonally, weirdly enough, is in reference to other films. So Ari Aster is a producer on the project. So Ari Aster, who made Midsommar,
yes,
and Beau is Afraid, which I know you enjoyed enormously.
Hated it, yes.
But you know the kind of dream logic of Beau is Afraid. You remember that? Okay, so that ties into it.
That was so much fun.
Cage plays this kind of hapless, divided soul. Here, if you remember Adaptation, in which Nick Cage plays the divided writer, the Charlie Kaufman project, and of course Charlie Kaufman co-wrote Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which again is about that thing about, you know, memories, and it kind of works in a dream logic way. There's also an ongoing gag about his wife having. He talks about at one point. He says, "You know, if I'm in your dreams, what do I do?" She said, "Don't do anything." He said, "Well, you know, what about a fantasy? What if I was a fantasy? What would be your fantasy?" And she says, "Well, do you remember that time we went to that party and you dressed up in the David Byrne suit from Stop Making Sense?" And he says, "Well, that's your fantasy, is me dressed in the David Byrne suit." The film ends with City of Dreams, which is the song that closes David Byrne's weird. Did you ever see True Stories? It's a lovely, lovely film, kind of strange vignettes film about a town Virgil celebrating its celebration of strangeness. All these things kind of play into it. And then there's Michael Cera, who seems likable, but plays. He was a total sleazeball in End of the World, and he's in, you know, Scott Pilgrim, in which he's kind of in the middle of his own dream world, and he plays this executive at a company called Thoughts ? Who are trying to market his power to be in other people's dreams. And at first, it's a completely benign power, but then it becomes something very different. And then we spend time, we see the dreams of the people firstly, we see the dreams of the people having dreams in which he's not doing anything while terrible stuff is happening. You know, alligators on the floor, people jumping on pianos, earthquakes. And you get, I thought the alligator thing was the whole thing is a sort of metaphor about you've got an alligator by the tail because he becomes famous by being in people's dreams, which has nothing to do with him. And then what he does in the dreams, it's suddenly like the thing turns around and bites you. So I think on the one hand, it's about fame. On the other hand, it is about dreams and dream logic and dream worlds. There are some very pointedly topical jokes. So when the whole thing goes south and he becomes toxic, he gets told, "We can get you on Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan," which was obviously a joke that I enjoyed. And I think that the final act of it doesn't quite work, in which the final act sort of tries to tie things up in a kind of even chaos is marketable, even the unconscious is marketable. And I think that at that point, the thing went one step too far. But to be honest with you, I'd had such a good time with the film up until that point, that the fact that for my money, it falls on its face in the final outcome is like, okay, it's okay, I can forgive it. Because there is so much of it in which the absurd paranoia of, I'm in everyone's dreams. Why am I in everyone's dreams? And also, you and I were talking about this on the way in this morning. You said you were talking about entitlement because you were talking about entitlement in relation to Saltburn. Mm-hmm. And there's a weird thing that Nick Cage's character, he's downtrodden. You know, he's not appreciated, but he has got a sort of weird sense of entitlement that he kind of thinks the world owes him recognition, but he hasn't done anything. He keeps being resentful about the fact that everyone else has published books, but there was an interview with you recently in an upmarket newspaper in which you said that one of the best pieces of advice you had ever read was, write, it becomes habit. Give me the correct quote.
Oh, it was a Philip Pullman quote.
Pullman, yeah.
I'm just trying to remember. I had it written down, obviously, when I was being asked, and it was something about more book. The paraphrase is more books are written by perspiration rather than inspiration.
Yeah, and it was the thing about how do you become a writer? You write.
Yes.
And to say, I've got a book. Have you written it? No. Then you haven't got a book. Whereas everybody else has written all this stuff, and they may be taking your ideas, they may be running with whatever, but they have produced it. Anyway, I thought it was really fascinating. I want to go back and see it again because I enjoyed it an awful lot. It falls flat in the last moment, but I can forgive it.
Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. While you're here, check out all the other videos because they're cool too, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you want to keep up to date with everything Kermode and Mayo's Take, then check out our social channels.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I mean, I would. I have done.
Excellent.